uma vez um sapo. Galera, sejam todos bem-vindos. Estamos aqui com um jogo novo para vocês. Espero que vocês curtem. Só vamos. Deixa o like, compartilha.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
Vou começar do começo. Só vamos. Vamos ver qual é.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Bora, Leia.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Já era. F sapo, galera. F sapinho.
I hadn't been back since my brother
Equinha.
Lewis's funeral.
Boa tarde, Erika.
In
Hey,
a will,
Fred.
my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Ué. Ué.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Pegadas de cavalo. Ih, o sapinho tá ali, hein?
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Tá explicando mais ou menos aí sobre o que se passa o game, viu, galera? Eu também não conheço, vamos conhecer juntos.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Nossa, casa estranha.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
A pergunta
Now,
que não quer
as a
calar.
17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Ah, até eu, pô. Tô com medo dessa casa. A pergunta que não quer calar. O sapo sobreviveu ou não? Pô, ele arrancou as perninhas, os braços e o sapinho lá. Lindo de bonito, vivinho.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
Ih.
Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
Tá, temos que conseguir um jeito de entrar aqui. Pela frente não dá. Por aqui, talvez? Não. Nada aqui.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Gente, pra quem quiser ver só a legenda do jogo, né? Que no Facebook também tem legenda, é só clicar nos 3 pontinhos e desativar a legenda. Beleza?
The power had been turned off the night we left. For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
Anderson
mas-
Guedes enviou 23 estrelas.
But instead of a
Obrigado,
family, there were
Anderson.
just memories of one.
Família deles. Foto real, né? Família dela, né? Engraçado.
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot. Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Rapaz, que barulho é esse? Nossa, a casa tem tanto livro. Eu entrei por aqui, né? Nossa, vou pra cá primeiro.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Procurem. Então não tem muito tempo que é.
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Vamos ver aqui, né? O que nos aguarda aqui nessa... Ali eu tinha que vir... Deixa eu ver aqui primeiro pra ver se tem alguma coisa.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
Aqui tem alguma coisa, né? Ui! Difícil.
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with
E
the rest of
Rodrigo,
the
para
house.
Carol Hudson.
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Então, tem um vaso aqui. Ah, não. Cadeira pra subir.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes. Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Parece que tem um enredo legal, hein, galera? Que
Edie's
isso?
father Odin built the original house.
Tá, tem uma escada ali pra gente subir, mas primeiro vamos pra cá pra ver. Tá tudo trancado, né? As portas. É, eu tô concentrado porque eu não conheço o jogo. Aí eu tenho que ficar lendo a legenda também. Aí eu tenho que entender, mais ou menos.
Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Tá, aqui também não dá pra ir, né? Faltou algum lugar pra gente ver. E eu fui, né? Acho que pra cá eu não fui. Alguma coisa aqui, não.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room.
Caraca, que quarto
I think
doido.
my mom sometimes
Legal.
regretted not sealing it up. Louis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
Ó, a chavinha deu pra entrar aqui, hein?
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
Caraca, que doideira!
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
Lendo isso, talvez pareça que eu tinha medo.
But I had no idea what was behind that door.
Ai, ai, ai.
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
Pô, até que tá tudo bonitinho. Não tá ainda assustador, não.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Que isso? A menina comeu ração, velho. Agora sou uma pequenininha, né? Deixa eu mexer aqui.
My Halloween candy was all gone. Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
Caraca, tem outra portinha aqui. Ai, gente. Tô com medo agora. Pequenininha, ó.
I kept eating and eating.
Ela tá comendo pasta de dente? Que doideira é essa?
I ate a lot of things that night.
Vai dar cagadinha também, minha filha? Bom.
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat.
Ela era uma gata. Meu pai, ela tá sonhando. Cacete, sério isso, mano? Que eu sou um gato. Não dá pra pular aqui, não. Nem pra lá. É, galera. Ali, ó.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
Cadê o passarinho? O sei lá o quê? Ai, que agonia, roncando. Tá ali, né? Meu pai, que doideira. Do nada a menina vira um gato. Andorinha? Não vejo ela. Eu vou nessa luz aqui. Ali.
I jumped and I almost got her.
Ai, quase caí. Ué. Calma.
I could tell she was getting really tired.
Tem que seguir ela ainda, né? Nossa, não consegui.
Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl.
Ela era uma coruja.
Oh,
Vira
I
uma
heard
coruja.
it.
Misericórdia, vira uma coruja.
Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
comigo! Nossa, eu sou uma
I
coruja.
imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
Temos que procurar algo maior. A menina tá com fome mesmo, hein? Rapaz. Ó, barulho.
A mama rabbit.
Ali.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark. I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
Eu tô chocada.
I grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Mentira que eu sou uma cobra agora. Mentira. Ué, mas a câmera não vai pra frente. Não vai, é só pro lado. Uma coisa pra gente fazer aqui atrás primeiro. Ah, tá, entendi.
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I
Puta
was
merda,
big,
sério isso?
but I moved real quiet.
Caraca, véi!
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Belly with a rush.
Ah, meu pai.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
No vaso! Ai, meu amigo! Tá vendo, galera? Aí, ó.
I got closer and closer.
Sobe aqui? Será na cama? Não. Onde será que eu vou agora? Aqui.
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time.
Tava
I
sonhando,
couldn't
né?
hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
Rapaz, que medonho, véi.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have. This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
A guarda-vó.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long time. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
Ele de novo? Boa tarde, Carol. Ué, já tentei passar pro lado e não foi. Ah, tá.
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
E aí, Clarinha? Boa tarde,
Whatever's
Delania.
wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom.
Beleza.
It was a pretty big trace.
Bonitinho. Caraca, e a cobra saindo do vaso, mano? Ai, meu maior medo. Outro esconderijo, ó. E aí, Sarinha? Nem tomei banho ainda, vim na academia, nem tomei banho, galera. Tava fazendo almoço.
There's a secret in this bathroom.
Comecei a
It's in the
live.
last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down. I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
Bem-vindo,
How I
Pedro.
Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
Ih,
My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore he'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
ai, tô tonta.
Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that,
Meu Deus, o menino quer dar a volta mesmo, é isso? Puta merda.
I'm not gonna tell you again!
maybe if the wind hadn't picked up,
Ai,
then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it.
meu pai, quer dar a volta.
I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother.
Ai, meu.
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Que doideira, véi.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Ela tá contando a história da família lá. Caraca.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Ele morreu daquele jeito, galera.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
Pera aí. Nome do jogo, ó. É difícil você falar. Conseguiram ver aí, galera? Quem lembrou, anota aí pra mim. Pra mim lembrar.
The passages were a pretty tight fit.
Não tem tag dele.
They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
galera, a casa é... Nossa! Cheia de esconderijos. Será que agora a gente consegue entrar aqui? Não. Boa, Clarinha. 20. Ah, não sei falar, galera. Melhor do que... Quem perguntar aí, responde pra mim, seus brabos. Será que eu vou ter que ir aqui de novo? Ela não corre não, ó. Eu aperto pra correr, ela dá zoom. Tinha outro lugar lá em cima, né? Pra entrar, se eu não me engano. Vamos ver aqui embaixo. Se eu não conseguir...
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
Tem que fazer de novo? É assim mesmo? Ah, então tá tudo certo. Ah, eu tô ouvindo alguma coisa aqui na direita. Uma impressão. Caraca, eu tô ouvindo, galera. Acho que é lá fora. Não tem como sair. Vou lá em cima, naquele lugar lá. Eu acho que tinha outra entradinha dentro do negócio de vinho. Tá melhorando, Clara? Ai, ai. Deixa eu ver se tem como voltar aqui. Tem. Aqui, ó. Tinha mesmo.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another
Ó,
ghastly
ela já
tale
tá lendo a
inspired
história
by
de outra pessoa.
America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise
Nossa, que
Ending
voz
of
estranha.
Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous
Quando
for
era
her
artista mirim,
scream.
Bárbara ficou famosa com seu grito.
Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. there's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Aí, ó. A
Thanks.
caixinha.
I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Ah. Ah. Eita, tô no desenho, é isso mesmo? Legal, ué.
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
Tem sangue aqui.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman Killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
Tem nada aqui não.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Ai, ai, ai.
Oh dear!
Ah, não!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act
Valeu, galera, que
furious.
deixou do like.
All I'm getting from
bravos.
you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the Late Late Picture Show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Ih, vou ter que subir lá. Ai.
Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the Hookman, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And who he was, he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. She thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it.
Eu vi daqui, né?
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned.
Ah! Nossa!
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Bem, graças a Deus, Wilson, e a sua? Boa tarde, Francisco.
The hookman had vanished.
Ih, tá aqui não.
She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Ih, a campainha.
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Ai.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was
E Bárbara foi
magnificent.
magnífica.
Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her
Mas
fans.
infelizmente seus fãs
Of course,
também.
the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
Que
Now
isso?
that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Que doideira! Obrigado, Wilson. Caraca, a história da Bárbara. Que loucura.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that
Aí tem a
comic
história de
was.
Sanda, Edie, do
Maybe what
Walter.
Edie saw was a happy ending.
Obrigado. E aí, Rodrigo? Vamos lá ver a caixinha, se tem como a gente abrir?
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Vamos lá embaixo. Muito louco, velho. Acho que eu nunca joguei um jogo tão, sei lá, estranho, doido, mas legalzinho. Caixinha. Vamos ver. Será que a orelha dela tá aqui? Ué, não quer sair não. Aê. GG.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
Antitetânica, beleza.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
isso?
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Agora é Walter, a história do Walter.
Goodbye, everyone.
E aí,
I can't
Cálide?
believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today.
Nossa, vai
I
arranhar
always
a testa
expected to
aí,
be
doido.
dead tomorrow.
Bora, Thaísa.
But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly.
Rapaz.
And then one day, everything just stopped.
Misericórdia.
Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years.
Ele só faz isso.
I'm done waiting.
Que doideira.
I have to leave. Well, I still can. I know it's out there, somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me.
E Thales,
Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
foi rápida a história dele. Caraca, ele vivia todo dia, a mesma coisa, ele sair do lugar. Caralho, que doideira.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Nossa, mano.
I'm
Família
sure my
louca,
mom was trying to
velho.
protect me. Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real. I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Caraca, que suspense da preula.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
Que isso? Que loucura. Ai, agora vou no cemitério.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Aqui são os animais, certo? Que isso, velho? Olha quantos de animal.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Bárbara, Walter, Gigi, Henry, Kelvin, Molly.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's
Eu também
idea.
gostei, tá? Diferente,
My
né?
mom was always
Legenda.
trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Ah, sério que vou ver alguém saindo dali?
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Olhei tudo? Acho que sim, tá dando pra negociar aqui mais. Será que eu tinha que olhar mais coisa? Deixa eu ver aqui. É. Já vi que tinha que ver.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand.
Nome do jogo, ó. É esse aqui, galera. Anota aí pra poder falar no chat.
But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Lugar macabro, mano. Eu moraria aqui nem fudendo, velho.
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
Família toda aqui, ó. Família, animais.
There's so
Tudo.
many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along.
Edith
For me to
Finch.
come back someday and find everything out for myself.
Agora é a casinha da árvore.
But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant. I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
Ah, churrasquinho, ó. A avó dela gostava de churrasquinho. Fumava, um charutinho básico.
They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Caraca, vários esconderijos a casa, viu? Vou voltar aqui. Meu povo e minha pova, então é isso. Vou ficando por aqui. Mais tarde a gente vai voltar aí. Show? Valeu todo mundo que compareceu na nossa live desse jogo meio doido, mas legal. Qual o objetivo do jogo? Conhecer a história da família maluca que morreu todo mundo. E só sobrou a menina. Ai, ai. Tá, galera? A gente conheceu a Edith, o Kelvin, a Bárbara, a história da Molly, do Walter, do Odin. Agora a gente ia conhecer a história do vô dela, né? O Sam. Pois é, Thales. Tava dormindo? Vou lá almoçar, galera. É isso. Mais tarde a gente volta com outro jogo de terror aí. Acho que eu vou trazer jogo de terror de novo. Show? É nóis? É nóis ou não é nóis? Ai. E aí, Juliano, Riquelme, Edgar, Juliano. Ui, meu povo.